You know, I'm here to promote the advancement of Chinese food, and just talk about the state of it and where I think we can go with it as chefs and in his industry. I'm really passionate about Chinese food and being Chinese American and my perspective of the food right now and how important I think it is at this time to really start to change the perception of Chinese food. And I think Americans, for the most part, have a very skewed view of Chinese food, and I don't blame them. That's the thing. It's like I had that same experience too as a Chinese American growing up. But it's about, I think, showing what Chinese food really is, and also still celebrating the things that are Chinese American, because those things I still love too. It's just how to inspire the next generation of cooks with Chinese techniques and having them use those techniques as inspiration. So I'm excited about being here and being able to talk to people about my passion for Chinese food. So my philosophy is based out of, I think, my experience as a student, being a bio major, and really loving life systems and being really interested in how things are grown and produced and raised and all those things. So part of my philosophy is really based on the earth systems and making sure they come from great sources and organics and biodynamics, and a lot of those are very important to me. Those philosophies are very important for me to, when I open this restaurant, I think it's important for it to be a Chinese restaurant that has people think differently of the ingredients, and part of that is how I source and how I produce the pantry. So part of it is from that bio degree, and then the other, I think, is through my training, obviously. And my training is mostly Italian and Californian and then Chinese. So there's a lot of, when I gravitated towards Italian food, it was because of those grandmas, and that's how I kind of grew up with my grandparents as inspiration for the food I make now. But it's really like those nonas and my ying, like they are, to me, like the masters of cuisine, and I gravitated towards those recipes and historic recipes, and how I can change, and not even change, but like renew and refresh some of the historic recipes. With Cantonese food, it's a lot of steaming, and then very flavorful sauces. So it's been fun to really work on those dishes. I think a lot of the flavors that I look for are natural and come out of the very subtle flavors of the ingredient, and I really try to have those natural flavors really play with each other well. XO is a sauce that I just love because it's just full of umami, right? And so I've been working on this XO sauce that is a little bit more Californian driven, and it's actually a lot of Italian flavors. So it starts with fennel, so fennel bulb, fennel pollen, anise seed, and then it has, instead of lapchang, the Chinese sausages, I use sopressata, and then so I fry basically ginger, green garlic, and then dried scallops and dried shrimp, and then it gets tossed in with all those fennel ingredients, and then it gets topped with fennel oil, and that is the topping for my steamed halibut. So yeah, it's just like it's super tasty, like really just flavorful. And then another dish that I've been working on too is these, like how I told you about the classics that I want to like kind of do this mashup on. So San Francisco classic is Hangtown fry. It's a oyster and bacon omelet, basically. And egg foo young is like this kind of iconic Chinese American dish. So I'm doing a Hangtown egg foo young, which is, there's bacon kind of ingredients in the omelet, and then there's fried oyster, an oyster sauce that I make, and then it's garnished with a couple little fermented things and ramps. So yeah, the idea for me is really, a lot of the inspiration I've been getting lately is from the actual neighborhood, Chinatown, San Francisco, and the restaurant's gonna be there. And seeing the, or just like seeing pictures of the past and understanding the history of the cuisine that was really, you know, San Francisco Chinatown was really marketed to Americans, and the food that they created, like chop suey and egg foo young, these are dishes that were created to try to bring Americans into Chinatown. And it's the same thing that I want to do with Chinatown now, because Chinatown has gone through, I think, like an up and then down, and right now it's it needs to be rejuvenated. Just how I feel about Chinese cuisine is how I feel about Chinatown, and so this is like a really important project for me, and so I'm very excited to get it started. You know, I would just tell students that, you know, it's going to take hard work and passion, but you will be the chef of the place you want to be at if you just work to get there. And you know, I think I think do things deliberately and do things with purpose, and have reasons why you do everything you do, because cooks are going to ask you why. So you should have a reason, and the reason should fall in line with your philosophy.